Hello. I am excited. I'm excited because I have been through a lot the last 2 years, and today I just said, I need a break. My husband is training for a strongman competition, and I'm really trying to figure out what my platform is, what my voice is, what my message is, and I've been through so much transition in my life, and especially after, deconstructing and leaving Christianity and then stepping over into atheism. It's been it's been a busy couple of years. There's so many other things going on in my life too that are having to do with my family. I'm adopting my niece, who will now be my daughter, and she has some heart complications, syndrome called heterotaxy syndrome. It affects all the organs. They're just kind of mixed up a little bit, not in their proper places and not formed the right way. Her heart essentially just was open in the center, but we were able to do a bivent repair that actually gave her 4 functioning chambers. She'll always need heart surgeries though, because she does have some artificial pieces in there. I am oversharing. However, going the first year of her life, she's only 2. First year of her life was difficult, and then lots of hospitalizations. I want to say 7 months worth of actually just being in the hospital just in her first year. Second year, she's been with us the whole time, has had 1 heart surgery in the second year. That was her big fix. Amazing results. She was vomiting every day, every meal for some time, and we've got, because she has a G-tube now, so we've gotten like all of these things figured out. You're hearing a train, subway, something. I'm in Chicago, which is what I was getting to. This has been such a freaking hard year. Just, gosh, the trials, the challenges, and I know I didn't have to take them. I know I didn't have to face these challenges. I could have just buried my head in the sand, gave it to God or whatever. But since I stopped waiting on God for answers and direction and everything, I just freaking took the bull by the horns, and I protected my niece to the best of my ability. And now we'll be adopting her. I'm, like I said, so excited. It's a tremendous amount of stuff. I already have 3 biological children of my own, but we couldn't be more excited for her life. And I get a lot of questions about, what's purpose anymore? What's this? What's that if you're not living for God? And it's like, this fucking life is my purpose. What do you mean? Do I need some specialized purpose outside of loving people and cherishing them and, having them embrace their actual physical lives that they're living right now? The only thing you know for sure exists is right here, right now, where you are. This is it, for sure. This is all we really know for sure. And living to the best of it is who wouldn't, But in Christianity, we're so future based. Everything's about going to heaven and living for God for eternity. Don't worry about it right now. Just give it to God for right now. You don't need to be too urgent. That so many things are going on. You have to wait for God's direction and blah blah blah. That's kind of not exactly what I wanted to talk about, but just talking about all of the meaning and richness in my life. It's offensive when people are like, there's not much meaning anymore though without God. It's yeah, there is. My niece might be dead without me right now. How is that not meaning and purpose? I'm raising children that are incredible and loving life. And that to me is really a lot of fucking purpose. Anyways, I was coming on here to share my excitement, and I obviously you can see that I'm excited. As I unpack everything I've been through and continue to understand what happened to me and, you know, organize it all, right? Categorize the situations and the time frames and make sense of it. I'm gonna do my best to keep sharing authentic, vulnerable moments as I uncover things, as I understand things. So I was so like stressed out. You know, I've got my ADHD under control. I am taking medication now. If you have an opinion about that, you can keep it to yourself. And if you need encouragement to get treatment for ADHD, please do it. Anyways, it has changed my life in an amazing way. However, going through that, I just got my shoulder surgery date actually set up. I know that like I'm flailing around a lot, but you know, if I try to actually like reach out or up, it's impossible. Got a lot. I have a labral tear, so a tear in my labrum, I think is like the way you use those two words for the same thing. Anyways, if I said it right, my husband will probably let me know if I didn't. He's good at that. He's super smart, like a brainiac. It's disgusting and really cool at the same time, because I'm usually like, what is that word? And he can think of it like that. But my ADHD brain kind of loses a lot of words and misuses words all the time. Like, I know the definition of the word. I've researched it. I've studied it. I'm constantly like checking my dictionary, and somehow I still manage to like accidentally use the wrong word. And I usually notice right away, or if I've read something that I've written or a post I've made or something like that, I'll be able to look back and go, oh, there it is again. I love it. Okay, so I love the city. You know, a lot of people want to go into the mountains and into the quiet. And when I was feeling stressed out and like everything's, you know, I've got my surgery date just a week and a half away, and I'm like, I have just been, you know, getting my ADHD under control, getting through this transition, and it's going on with my deconstruction, and you know, hitting ground zero and kind of feeling like, okay, I have deconstructed. That part is over with. Now I just need to make sense of it and like reconstruct, right? So, because that took me 7 years. It's a long process. So I, like I said, was getting stressed and just kind of feel not as stressed though, because things are actually like really looking good. You know, things are moving up. The adoption is in full swing, and we've got our adoption class that we need to take next week. We'll be getting our home study done, even though we had those things done to foster. You know, it's just like the last little details of everything coming together. Shoulder surgery is set up. I'll be able to play rugby again next August, I think, starts the fall season. Cannot wait for that. You know, because I really need somewhere to put all of this energy, right? You guys can hear it. I'm a busy girl. But I get weighed down by the mundane, you know, the household stuff, the kids. It's just like so much sometimes, day-to-day life. I actually really miss living for something bigger than myself, because it's very much my personality to plug into like this crazy cool big thing and live that and like feel like this tiny small person has this, you know, massive purpose was very alluring. And well, I was raised in it, so I didn't get to be allured by it. But even if I wasn't, I might have been, you know, because who doesn't want to be, you know, Joan of Arc? Who doesn't want to, you know, be called for this magnificent purpose? But as I've left, I'm realizing that I have plenty of purpose and so many things to still learn and to teach, and so much that I haven't got to learn. So I don't want to keep rambling. I'm here in Chicago because Chicago is my favorite city. I haven't been to them all by any means, but I grew up in Griffith, Indiana, just as my friends will always say, Griffith, Indiana, because whenever my friends whenever I met a group of my friends through my husband, they asked me where I'm from, and they're from Portage, Indiana. And instead of just saying Griffith, I said Griffith, Indiana. And so now that's a running joke. I'm an over-explainer, obviously. Okay, so I'm just stoked because I'm in Chicago. I'm chilling out in the Hoxton Hotel. Yes, Hoxton. And it's so cute because we're renaming my niece. And I've talked to my sister about this. I've talked to my family, and they're all very supportive. We're renaming her Beatrix. And I don't believe in like signs and symbols and all that stuff anymore, but it was so neat. There's a restaurant called Beatrix, and spelled the same way that we're spelling her name, just on the corner walking on up here. We chose that name because it means bringer of happiness, bringer of joy, and that just really meant a lot to us because she is such a joyful little girl through all of the garbage she's been through. Gosh, it's exciting. You know, the things that we are accomplishing and the lives that we're touching and connecting to is an incredible thing. But it was hard. Last 2 years were the hardest 2 years of my life. And I was divorced 6-7 years ago. And I thought that was the hardest time of my life. And at the time it was. But this situation, adopting my niece and protecting her and working with CPS, all of that was so much bigger and much, much harder than anything I've ever been through. And all during a deconstruction phase and, you know, kind of like accepting and stepping into atheism. And my parents, you know, I remember there was a point when my sister couldn't be at the hospital. She was just really struggling with having a sick child, and she was so disconnected, and, you know, PTSD and, you know, severe postpartum depression. And I know I'm full of emotion. That's never gonna change. I was willing to be at the hospital. I had a 7-month-old daughter at home with my husband, and my boys were 9 and 10. They're 10 and 11 now, or 8 and 9 because it was 2 years ago. I'm sorry. And my husband, you know, was taking care of them at home, and he also had to work. So I was going up there as much as I can. My mother-in-law was babysitting for me, and I was just at the hospital as like much as humanly possible. And the hospital was in Oakland, Illinois, and so we had like a 45 to an hour drive anytime we would come visit. And I was willing to like stay in the hospital. My sister was considering making me power of attorney so that I could, you know, really be involved in the medical stuff to help her understand what was going on, because there were so many complications and it was so terrifying. And she was young and scared and just like disconnected, where the information was just not registering. And she didn't have a partner, so she was really just lost in a way. And I wanted to be at the hospital with her, the baby, and I remember hearing that maybe I shouldn't be the one that was there, because I didn't have the same beliefs. So like I wouldn't be praying like they would be, or I hadn't even told them I don't even think I was atheist yet. I just didn't believe the way that they did. But my dad had asked me like a year prior when he was in the hospital. I trained all the people in it. I love people. That's why I love this city, because I just love people. I love seeing them. I love people watching. I love hearing stories. I love connecting. Anyways, and to find out that like essentially my family didn't trust me anymore because I didn't have the same faith as them. that was really hard. I was really hurt. I know that they see people that don't believe in God, and especially if you're not just not believing in God, but, you know, actually denouncing, you know, the Holy Spirit, the existence of the Holy Spirit, all that stuff, that's like a big no-no. Because then you're not just backslidden or in a bad place. Now you're like an enemy of God. And I think my parents really struggled with that, but I never stopped loving that little girl. And even when I wasn't welcome, I was knocking on the door and asking the hospital, please let me in. I'm the only one here. Can I please see her? There were times I was the only one there. And I think eventually my sister understood that somebody needed to be there. And she did give me power of attorney, but it was after CPS was already involved because things were not going well. About 3 months in. Oh no, 11 weeks in. So it was almost 3 months in. And then she was finally like, okay, somebody does need to be bedside with this baby. She's never gonna leave the hospital. There's a lot of painful division in religions where you're either for it or you're against it. Because I still love my family. I'm not mad at them. I'm not angry with them. And I hope they don't feel that way toward me for, you know, not following in the faith anymore. I think they're more scared for me than anything, but I'm going to keep sharing my story boldly and loudly. And I really, really hope that they hear it so they can understand. I think the hard part about all of that is when I was in faith, my parents, especially my father, really, really valued my spiritual wisdom. And I'm a researcher. I am a teacher. I gotta know. I always ask why. And there wasn't a question I wasn't gonna find the answer to. If I had the question, it wasn't enough to not know. I would dig and dig and dig and dig until I could make sense of some very complicated scriptures. I would much rather hear the sound of a train than the noise at my house right now. God, I love the city. I had dreams after I got divorced that once my kids were grown, I would have loved to move into a studio apartment in the city with a cute little beatnik coffee shop somewhere close where I could sit and meet people and talk to people. For me, everything is about connection and this world and sharing our hearts and our stories, and I'm just so excited to be kind of figuring out what I want to do now that I've deconstructed. Because I remember being so unsure about everything. I had to get to a place where I was comfortable with not knowing, comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing as everything just started to come undone. So there were a couple topics specifically that I wanted to talk about, and a lot of that is the disconnect from family, which I just touched a little bit on it, but I think I'm going to do 2 separate videos because I want to talk about God, and when you start to deconstruct and come away from that relationship, it's almost like an abusive relationship, and then when you come out of it, you see it so differently. than when you were in it. And I also want to talk about how scary it is to deconstruct, and how exciting it is to think about what it's going to look like at the end. And no matter where you are in the process, it's okay to be afraid, because you're undoing a lot of fear from possibly a very long time. Maybe you weren't in it that long. Maybe you were raised in it and that's all you know. So I'm excited to do a couple more videos while I'm here in the quiet. So like I said, long year, busy year, crazy cool stuff. Some other family stuff has happened too that I'm not at liberty to share, that has been extremely trying for me, having to do with family health and marriages and stuff. So there's been a lot of, Oh, I also wanted to discuss, and maybe I'll be able to do it kind of all in the same video, but discuss this waiting on God thing. I spent a whole lot of my life waiting on God. And I feel like I get a whole lot more done now that I stopped waiting for all of these signs and directions. I was waiting for God to direct me to do things that weren't even things that needed to be done. Looking for doors to open, and praying to be a pastor as a woman, which just wasn't ever going to happen. I actually have a friend who is getting ordained, I think, this weekend. And God, she's so beautiful and open-minded and precious. And I know that I would feel like people felt dangerous to me for a little while. Faith felt dangerous in and of itself. But there's something about her. There's just something so beautiful about her. And she never feels threatening to me. I never feel like I'm going to offend her. And we're not particularly close, but I've only actually spent physical time with her a couple of times, but she's just like a light, a bright light. And I know she's going to find her way and truth no matter what. I just sense that. I feel that she reminds me of myself. And then I saw on her Facebook that she's an ENFP, which I am also, MBTI type, and an Enneagram 7 Wing 8, which I am also. So probably her energy and charisma is very much like mine. And she's a youth pastor, and those were the things I wanted to do and to do. Well, I wasn't a youth pastor, but I did lead youth ministry. And honestly, when she said she was getting ordained, I was like, fuck yes, just because she's a woman. And I'm excited for her. Even though I don't believe the same way, anytime we're smashing the patriarchy with female leadership in a field where that's not common, I feel like celebrating. And also, like I said, there's something there with her where I don't feel threatened by her faith. There's so much love and kindness that never feel judgment or anger or like a you and me or an us and them kind of a feeling from her, which is very much the type of Christian that I was. And it's refreshing. I'm sure it's refreshing just for people to meet people that are like themselves. So it might even just be, I'm just excited because she's a lot like me. I don't know. Anyways, I'm talking a lot about it's not like I hate Christians or anything. I have just really, truly discovered something for myself that was very different than what I believed before. And I'm running with this damn thing. The more that I understand and I take apart, the more I want to have these conversations. That's also something I want to do on this YouTube channel is I want to sit with people like live and have conversations. I want to talk about hard stuff. I want to ask. I often have these really intriguing conversations with people, and if I find other people that are just willing to dig in, there's so much life in those types of things, whether we be talking about our own personal lives, theology, religion, just just things. It can be, I'm fascinated by listening to other people's conversations and participating in them. So I would love to have like conversation style, I don't even know what to call it, like episodes? I don't know. Anyways, I think I'm gonna wrap up this video right now. I think I did pretty good staying under 30 minutes and just a little past my 22 minutes that I wanted to be without too much editing and stuff. So yeah, a little bit more about myself, because I will be mentioning my family's names. So I have my husband, Daniel, and him and I have been married for 4 years. Oh my God, I'm so bad with years and dates. We got married on October 15, 2016. So anyways, I'm really not bad at math. I just don't do things good in my head well because I can't see the stuff. All right. Daniel is my husband, and Levi is my 11-year-old son from my first marriage, and Jackson is my 10-year-old son from my first marriage. They have the same birth date. They're just 1 year apart. And interestingly, God promised me that I was going to have a son, and 4 years later I did. So, it could be a fluke. Happened to be a boy, right? But I remember holding on to that promise. And I think, like, knowing things, feeling things, having intuitive thoughts can be really helpful. They do give us hope and things to hold on to, goals, aspirations, and I was going through a difficult time, and I really needed to know that, like, I was going to be a mother at some point because I wasn't able to get pregnant. And that was scary, but I did end up having my Levi, and then 1 year later, my Jackson, and it was like, oh my goodness, yeah, I got him. So, at the time I was praising God. Now I'm just like thankful that I knew in my heart I was going to be a mom, and that I got to pursue that and appreciate how amazing being a mother has been. Okay, then I have Ivy Daenerys, because we are huge Game of Thrones fans. It's not that I didn't know the title. I'm just really bad with remembering things sometimes. So Ivy Daenerys is our 3-year-old daughter. And then we have Beatrix. Beatrix Estrella. She is going to, she will be our daughter soon. I'm excited to announce those things too as they come. And, give the judge glory and ourselves for all of our hard work, and her precious little heart, and her joyous spirit, and I don't even know if we have spirits. It's, the word is just like a used word, not necessarily like an actual spirit. Anyways, her little personality is amazing. And then thanking my other children for making room for another sibling and sharing mommy and daddy, and actually feeling the growth from that, the excitement from it, instead of it being something that took away from our family, because it was hard. It was a lot of emotional labor, physical labor, and they have done it with grace and joy, and it has grown us all as a family. I mean, through this pandemic too. Like, this all happened right before the pandemic. It's been a crazy year, but we're all bonded, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I just got a beauty for ashes, strength for joy, and that's a Christian song, but those are the only ones I really know, like, in my head and, like, memorized, because that's all I was ever allowed to listen to. I'm so way behind on music, like, way behind. All right, I'm rambling a little bit. I'm excited. I hope that you remember all of my children's names and my husband, and I'll be sharing things about them along this journey too, because I feel like it's really important to teach our kids to think for themselves. And my parenting philosophy goes along with leaving faith, actually. Like, I actually subscribe to a philosophy of connection and cooperation instead of punishment. And so, you know, people think that hell needs to exist, and if something really bad isn't going to happen to you when you do something wrong, you're never going to learn not to do anything wrong. But I really think that like empathy and compassion and love and trust and connection is actually what drives us to do the right thing. So I do not agree with that philosophy that we need punishment in order to learn. I think that we can learn from natural consequences and from, you know, the beautiful things that happen when we connect with each other. So that is also how I raise my children. I may do some episodes about that, but I'm not a perfect parent, so I don't have all the answers by any means. I'm an anti-spanker though. I don't think that that is good for the children, and it is hard to touch base on these types of things because they are so ingrained, especially in like a lot of, you know, Christian culture. Spare the rod, spoil the child. You know, punishment is an important part. There are some Christian parents in the gentle parenting community, and I think that even they struggle with that sometimes because people don't understand their approach to connection and cooperation. But anyways, now I done did it. Damn it, I'm past 30 minutes. That's okay though. That's okay. I highlighted some things that I want to touch base on, and I would love to see more comments about the things that I am going to be talking about. Maybe there can be some more questions to help gear me in the direction that I want to go with those types of things. Yeah, so it's a little bit of Chicago over there. I'm such a creep. I'm so sorry. I wish I wouldn't have done that. I should probably trim that off the video. I won't though.